Welcome back to the CNR recap. I'm Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me, we have David Caires and Andrew Quinn. And your Boston Celtics unfortunately have lost to the Trailblazers with a final score of 114 to 108. Disappointed loss, and we already got one, so let's read this. Told you we lose, honestly. We lost this game because Brown decided to take a game against Portland personally. Sorry, I can't make it tonight, guys. The thing is, I agree. I agree. It was a tough loss, and we get into it. And I think I thought Brown did pretty solid tonight, but the only issues I had with this game was, it wasn't again, Brown did take it into his own hands, and it wasn't really team basketball, but it was just rough. But you guys know the drill. Initial thoughts. David, we'll start off with you, go to Andrew, myself. What are your initial thoughts after this loss by the Trailblazers? Because this was a tough one. A lot of injuries for the Trailblazers, and this is one that you're hoping to kind of get. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, this feels like a game the Celtics probably should have won, if we're being honest. It never really sits right with me when we blow Jaylen Brown masterclass games. I mean, he had 37 points in this one, 27 points of them in the first half. He was clearly our best player. And it's really frustrating when you lose games to teams that are young and undisciplined, not because of what they're doing, but because you're doing what they do bad, but even worse than them. And what I mean by that is, the Trailblazers, I have the number right here. The Trailblazers finished the game with 21 turnovers. So they had two more than the Celtics, but the Celtics had an uncharacteristic 19 turnovers themselves. We are the best team in the NBA this season at taking care of the basketball. I think it was said on the broadcast, we averaged like 12 turnovers a game. Very, very good. We've been at the top of the league with that the last few seasons now. And we just coughed up the ball way too much, coughed it up, and uh, bad situations down the stretch. We had stretches as well. I believe at the start of the third quarter where we had three offensive fouls within the first few minutes. I mean, those count as turnovers as well. So just really disappointing to see us break down discipline wise in this one. I mean, I can nitpick as well our shot selection. I mean, obviously we didn't shoot the ball well, and that's another big reason why the Trailblazers were able to win this one. Is quite frankly because they shot better than us. But when you're not disciplined, you're not going to win, and that felt like a way for us to really break this game open is taking advantage of Portland's turnovers, especially early on, and we just couldn't do it. So that part is disappointing. But you can't win them all. Just got to try and move on to Utah. But yeah, this was a pretty frustrating loss.
Yeah, I'm with you, David. This was a tough one. I thought we had a lot of chances to kind of gain momentum and put the Portland Trailblazers away, but we couldn't find a way to do so. And as you said, turnovers, that's always going to kill you, especially against an undisciplined team who kind of thrives in playing in this chaotic manner. As a Celtics team who can play organized basketball, who understands how to offensively kind of pick apart teams at times. We really played into the Portland Trailblazers' hands tonight and played into their style of game. They also did not hit a lot of free throws at all. Their free throw percentage was horrendous tonight. Denny Advia shot horrible from the line, and we still failed to capitalize on this game. I think if the Celtics took care of the ball a little better and defended better too, I think from a defense standpoint, there was a lot of wide open 3-point shots on the perimeter where we're just not rotating, we're not getting closeouts, and the Trailblazers are taking advantage of those shots. So I think we could have done a little bit better at just getting out to the 3-point line and forcing them to create in the paint. So I just think the Trailblazers just had a kind of an easier game tonight. And down the stretch as well, we just struggled. Down the stretch, we kind of crumbled. We weren't executing in the right way. We were taking early shots. And so I think overall, this was just a bad game from the Celtics.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I feel like, and you nailed it right there, Andrew, down the stretch. It was rough. We couldn't take care of the ball and a lot of turnovers. And, with 22 seconds down by 4, that's not impossible to come back from. I mean, it's definitely challenging, don't get me wrong, but if it's doable. We've seen it happen before. But, you know, bad passes, not executing late in the game, and it's a thing that we're not used to because the Celtics have been executing that as of recently. You know what I mean? So it's I don't know. I was very disappointed in how they were down the stretch, and again, we'll get into it with quarters, but the Celtics at first and at times in this game looked like they could totally beat the Trailblazers, and we all thought, and I think David, you might have mentioned this too. This could be a trap game, and I think it kind of was a trap game. It was rough, but Carl, what are your thoughts after this loss from the Portland Trailblazers?
Uh, Honestly, pretty reminiscent of Celtics in the past to drop a game to a team such as the Portland Trailblazers, who aren't really doing so much, who aren't really doing, so hot. So, seeing, the Celtics losing in this way, it really goes to show that we really do have to fix up on a lot of things. As you guys had mentioned prior, we got to take care of the ball more. We have to do more on the defensive end, especially towards the beginning and end of the game, where we found ourselves close to closing in on a lead, but we would either lose that lead or not complete it altogether. So definitely a game that was winnable, definitely, and not just, the Celtics were making these mistakes too, but I also felt like the refs were kind of, being a little bit weird too during the end. I mean, that's usually how it is during NBA games, but that's also not an excuse for us to not, call out the Celtics on, those minor mistakes that led to this loss.
Yeah, and if I could add another thing too, we actually talked about this on the last recap. We were asked a question, what do you guys think about the Celtics going small ball? And me and David both said it's situational. You got to know when to go small ball and when not to. And tonight, when a guy like Donovan Clayton is absolutely dominating the glass, dominating the game itself. I mean, he looked like he was out there with a little extra fire. I don't know why. I don't know. He had something to prove, and he was playing with all of his heart. And we went small late in that game, let up a couple of tough rebounds towards the end of that, and as we all know, we know the result. So I think it's important, as you can see, it's situational with this small ball, and so I think coaching decisions down late kind of impacted the win or the loss.
Yeah, I agree. And I kind of want to add on to that as well is, like it was I completely lost my train of thought with that one. But I want to say for like and you look at the player stats too, and we'll get into that later in it, but like Ugo, like there were guys that were stepping up, but there were also guys that like were not doing enough for the Boston Celtics tonight. And we'll talk about that later, but do you guys have any more thoughts before we get into the quarters?
So to answer your question, Andrew, about if maybe Klingon had something, I guess, going on internally, like an ulterior motive for tonight, Drew Carter mentioned during the broadcast that I guess he's from Connecticut and he grew up
Bristol.
a Celtics fan. So maybe that was just like some more motivation, I guess, for him wanting to stick it to his like childhood team. But like, not only was he giving it to the Celtics as a whole, but like he was screaming at Ugo early, and then him and Garza got into it in the 2nd half. So I don't know. I mean, it's like the old Russell Westbrook thing where it's like you just want to, if you play mad, you'll play better. Maybe that's what he was trying to channel. But
Hey, it worked tonight.
Right, it worked. That's for sure.
I mean, I want to ask Carl, are you a UConn fan? Because I know you're from Connecticut. Is that your team you root for?
Yeah, literally anything that's New England or Connecticut based. Yeah, those are my teams.
So you were. I agree. I was born in Connecticut, so I'm a Klingon guy because I default like go to the UConn Huskies. I mean, that's what it is. UConn and Duke. I was talking about this with someone recently, but
David, that's crazy. I think we're outnumbered. Tommy's a Connecticut guy as well.
oh jeez, yeah, you
That's bad, man. What's
well,
going on?
basketball
What's
now.
going on?
I guess this is a little off topic, but who do you guys got?
Oh, I don't even have a team. If I'm going to be honest, in the college round, I just enjoy the game of basketball. So
Oops, yeah.
if it's a good game, I'm there for it.
Who do you follow, David? I'm curious about this one.
I'm literally the same as Andrew. I mean, I'll just say Boston College because we got to get one on you guys for representation. But I couldn't tell you a single player on BC, but I'm just gonna go with BC.
Well, they are horrible this year, David. I don't know if that's the right pick. No,
I stand corrected. Okay, I'll get that.
Let's go UConn. Let's default to UConn. But David, we'll turn it over to you anyways, though, because here are the quarters and here is the differential, and you kind of see it. The Celtics take that big swoosh at first, and then they get a little bit more later in the third, but it kind of defaulted to the Trailblazers. But if you wanted to give us quarters for us, because on paper it was a rough one.
Yeah, for sure. So as you can see, first quarter, Portland barely won by 1 point, 31-30. Boston stats in that quarter, they shot 13 of 25 from the field, 3 for 10 from deep, and they had 4 turnovers. As I continue to go through these numbers, just bear with me with the 3-point stats. That is going to be a trend throughout this whole game. Second quarter, Boston came back to take the lead into the half, 63-55. So they won that quarter 33-24, and they got up to 24. They maintained the field goal shooting. They were 24 for 50 from the field heading into the half, but just still 7 for 23 from deep. And they were all the way up to 10 turnovers. They had 4 in the first quarter, 6 turnovers in the second quarter. Then the third quarter, they end up leaving that frame down by 1 as Portland takes the lead back 86-85. Celtic stats in that quarter, all the way up to 31 for 74 shooting from the field, 9 for 34 from deep, and then 13 turnovers. So, they had 3 turnovers in that frame, dipped a little bit in the field goal shooting, and then the 3-point shooting just continued to be abysmal. I mean, they had 9 3-pointers at the end of the third quarter. Portland had 14 3-pointers made at the end of the third quarter. So that's a difference of 5 3-pointers. That's a plus 15 in the 3-point differential for Portland. And then the final stats for Boston, obviously the final score, as we know, was 114-108. Boston finished the game shooting 40 of 92 from the field. So we had 50 shot attempts at the half, and we only ended with 92. So that's a little bit of a mixture of playing slower and obviously some costly turnovers because we only shot the ball 42 times in that second half. And then we finished 13 of 45 from deep. So that is pretty much a mirror image of how it went in the first half, shooting 7 of 23 from deep, finishing the game 13 of 45. Portland would finish the game 18 of 51 from deep. So again, that plus 5 3-point differential held up for the Trailblazers. They outscored us from deep by 15. Celtics would finish the game as well with 19 turnovers, as I mentioned as well. That's like 7 more than their season average. Then the big ones here, Portland out-rebounded us 48-40. Trailblazers had 15 offensive rebounds. We only had 12 offensive rebounds. And, you want to talk about a missed opportunity here. 34 bench points for the Celtics compared to just 21 bench points for the Blazers. So if we could have just cleaned up, not even like the shooting, but if we could have just cleaned up the turnovers, get that 19 turnovers down to 14, that's still above our season high. But, the bench scoring would have more than made up for it. And it's just little tweaks like that in the margins that, are frustrating in games like this where you probably could have won. and we need every game we can get. Obviously, I mean, I'm not saying anything crazy by saying yes, I want my team to win when they step on the basketball court every given night. But just little tweaks like this, and even what you said earlier, Andrew, as well, with the free throw misses, crucial things like that are just tough in games where you lose by less than 10.
Yeah. And the thing I wanted to mention too is, again, you guys kind of said knocked on it earlier too, but being out rebounding as a whole in the game too, 47-40. It's one thing, with Klingon being the guy he is. You obviously see, and Andrew, I don't want to steal your spotlight, but 18 rebounds. I mean, that's a guy who's going to get it done on the glass. And again, that kind of proves our point where we've been wanting a big man, because you even see Caires had 8 rebounds, but being out rebounded like that in the rebound battle. And we'll go through really quick. Is that a concern to you guys that you face, I would say, a legitimate center, a guy who could rebound, and you're getting crushed on the glass compared to him? Carl, we'll start off with you.
I would say right now, not too much of a concern because it is just, that one going, but definitely look out for that. And it's something that we discussed recently as well, how the Celtics really have to take care of the ball in this way. They have to rebound more. They have to want it more. And it's not just something that we should just rely on Cato for, even though that's primarily going to be his job, but also everybody to put in that effort as well, because we want to be able to get those second chance shots. We want to be able to keep the ball alive for us. So rebounding is incredibly crucial and important to what we're trying to do right now. So definitely not a terrible thing for Kada at the moment, but definitely we should refer back to this and make sure that, something like this doesn't happen again, or it's just rare.
Yeah. What about you, David and Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think it's been a theme the whole season, just the rebounding. I think we can kind of put a Band-Aid on it, or put it on the back burner, because obviously we've been winning a lot, especially lately. But even in the wins, I feel like it can be a bit of an issue, and it's something that this team is going to have to figure out. There was that play at the beginning of this game where Missoula called a timeout right after, and I think the Trailblazers got an offensive rebound, and then Klingon just had an easy slam down low, and 4 Celtics players on defense are just standing around not giving any effort. It's like, it's one thing to get out rebounded because the other team is just better at rebounding than you, but if we're not even going to try and not give any effort, then we're screwed from the start. So yeah, that is something that needs to get addressed. Plenty of ways to do that between now and February 6th. But yeah, we got to get better at rebounding for sure. We shouldn't have like Peyton Pritchard or Derek White any night be our leading rebounders. And I know that that's happened in the past, but or I think that that's happened in the past. I don't want anyone to come after me here in the comments. So I'll say allegedly it's happened, but that needs to be addressed for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what both you guys said. I'm not sure I have too much more to add, but it's this team, in my opinion, yes, they have maybe the big man situation is not ideal. It's not exactly what you want. Obviously, maybe you want a little better. Maybe you want someone else to add to the rotation. But if we're being honest, I do think they are a capable rebounding team. Like, this team has the ability to rebound. May not always be pretty, may not always be perfect, but it's not like this team is just going into every game just completely outmatched. It's not possible. So I think that these guys can improve upon rebounding by just showing a little more effort, team rebounding, working out, boxing everyone out at once, and not relying just on Kada, as Carl said. I don't think it's a straight up let's go get a big man. I think it's more of a holistic problem that needs to be addressed and continued to be improved upon.
Yeah, and David, you had something else you wanted to say about this as well.
Yeah, just really quickly, I have the stats pulled up on this not double monitor, but my phone. If anyone sees me looking off to this side, I'm just looking off of my notes. And the defensive, according to NBA.com, I like to use that website just to get some stats for the team. The Celtics are 29th in the NBA in defensive rebound percentage. So one of the worst teams in the league at corralling defensive rebounds right now. So that definitely, you can't rely on every stat to tell you the story of a basketball team, but for sure that one needs to be noted when talking about the Celtics.
Yeah. Do you guys have anything to mention on that?
No, rough. I think they speak for themselves.
That's rough. I just, before Andrew, you go into the Trailblazers points too, I just want to mention too, like the 20 turnovers tonight, it was just sloppy basketball. It didn't seem like we were ready tonight, and like, again, this is totally a winnable game because all the injuries and stuff, but it's not anything to hang our heads on, but it definitely hits me a lot more because how good basketball we've been playing recently. So, but if you wanted to get into the Trailblazers stats, because there were some guys doing it, as you could see, for the Trailblazers.
Yeah, we can go through this fairly quick. Shane Sharp led the Trailblazers, 26 points, 5 rebounds, very efficient, 10 for 20, 8 from 3. So he looked very good tonight. Denny Advia, 24 points, 10 assists. It was impressive to see him tonight, like creating on the offensive end, and he's definitely blossoming. So looking good. Tumani Kamara, I thought Brown was giving the work tonight, but we didn't come away with the win, so it doesn't mean as much. He had 20 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal. And then obviously Kling, we've covered Kling, 18 points on a very efficient night, 80% from the field with 18 rebounds, 3 blocks. And then we had Caleb Love come off the bench with 18 points. He's leading the league with undrafted players in minutes, points. So a majority of the categories right now, he's playing well. So that's kind of the those are the highlights of the Trailblazers and the guys that really gave us the work tonight.
Yeah, and I wanted to add on to that too. Like, so many players were out. You have Drew Holiday, who was obviously out, Lillard, Jeremy Grant, Robert Williams, Thibault, Wesley, and Henderson. You have a lengthy list of injuries. So again, we played an injured Trailblazers team and didn't get the job done. But for the Celtics, Garza played 11 minutes, had 5 points, 3 rebounds. So not doing a lot as we've seen him doing in the past few games. And Andrew was very high on him last game against the Pacers. Walsh out there, 10 minutes, 5 points, 66.7% from the field goal. Hauser really didn't do much too, a 3-pointer. That was it. And Keita, we talked about him, so I don't want to go deep into him, but 11 points, 8 rebounds. And Simons, who got the trip back home to Portland. Obviously we talked about him if he's very happy here, unsure, but he loved playing in Portland, and you could see at the end shaking hands with all his teammates and everything. Didn't really get the game he wanted, but 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals and an assist, my bad. And then Pritchard, not very great night from him. I feel all across the board he did fine though. 9 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals. Hugo Gonzalez, who I think had a very, very efficient game tonight, and I was very impressed by, because when we needed him, he played up to it. I mean, he had 13 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, and shot 50%. I mean, again, I think I've said this like 10 times this season, but it's safe to say he's not going to Maine. He's not going to Maine. He's on fire. But then we obviously had Derek White, who had 12 points, played 40 minutes, the most out of any Celtic tonight. 12 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 5 steals. So 5 steals, that's big, and a block. But also 3 turnovers, and then Jaylen Brown, who had 6 turnovers tonight. and had 37 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and shot 60.9% from the field goal. He was on a tear tonight, and I don't know what he had against the Trailblazers, but he went off for some reason, and now he made team history, correct?
He tied Larry Bird's record.
Okay, so tied Larry
9
Bird.
in a row. So he will have a chance to break Larry Legend's record 2 nights from now.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. But that's pretty much it on the Celtic stats. But do you guys have any final thoughts? Carl, we could start off with you and go through because we also have some comments. So let's bring these up, but we'll go with RZB Sports. But I want to ask you, Carl, do you have any final thoughts? Because again, rough one tonight.
Yeah, definitely. One of those games that I feel like, no pun intended, we can rebound from. But of course, it does start with the rebounding and just taking better care of the ball and ensuring that Keita, again, not too much of a concern right now, but refer back to this and allow for him to not only be one of the main rebounders on this team, but also, going up against centers like Klingon. So yeah, just small stuff like that could make us successful for the next game and more games to come.
Yeah. What about you, David? As I lose my phone.
Just you fumbled your phone like the Celtics fumbled the basketball 19 times tonight. So
Spitting bars right there, David.
Wow.
Spitting bars.
No, just don't let it fumble. I may seem pretty annoyed throughout these near 27 minutes we're talking, but I mean it's just 1 out of 82 games. You're gonna have games like this, as we all know, where you feel like your team should have won and they didn't. Stuff happens. This is absolutely one of those games, but just don't let it snowball into another winnable game on Tuesday against the Jazz. Also, the Celtics are 29th in defensive rebound percentage, but I did not list out what that official number is. It is 66.9%. So the Celtics only grab 66.9% of defensive rebounds that come their way. I'd say that's pretty close to 6-7.
Like Andrew's dad said, David. I'm just, but and this is off the topic, but I sent David a video today that was like on TikTok about the 6-7 stuff. So, David, your 6-7 days are numbered. I tell you what.
Well, they were making jokes about it. I think a timeout got called when it was tied at 67 a night. They said the Trailblazers PA announcer screamed.
Yeah, he did. I actually did hear that. I did hear that.
He said 6-7, and Drew Carter's like, yeah, and all the kids in here went wild. So I'm not the only one doing that stuff.
Can I mention something else? I was also I'm not gonna say anything, but I was watching the Trailblazers broadcast. Don't even ask me why, but they did a filter because at one of the timeouts, and it was a 6-7 filter. So David, the Trailblazers got your back on that. I gotta say.
I think I'm gonna find a way to mention 6-7 in every single CNR recap, CNR podcast the rest of the season. That's my mission.
Andrew, we gotta buckle up for that. And Carl, we gotta buckle up. I know Andrew's tired of it from the camp kids, though. Carl, I don't know your experience with 6-7, but I know Andrew's about done with this.
Can we get some 6-7s in the chat?
Well, let's see if we get one by the end of this. But Andrew, your final thoughts too on this game, because it was.
Yeah, I think we've pointed out all the X's, and we pointed out all the stats, all the small margins that the Celtics missed out on, that they didn't capitalize on. But I really think tonight it was kind of just an effort thing. I think it was not closing out, not rebounding. You go over to Portland, you're on the West Coast. I'm sure it was a long flight at Peyton Pritchard's in Portland. He's with his family. Simons is in Portland with a little reunion, everything's sweet. And we just kind of went in there with our guard down, and the Trailblazers took advantage of it. That's kind of how I see it tonight. I also think Simons, I don't know. I know he's plus minus is high and all that. But to me, Simons has been frustrating me offensively because I think at times he likes to dribble the ball a lot and kind of like try to create his own shot. And at times he's just not playing within the flow of the offense. And he had one heat check and at some point of the game where he's dribbling between his legs at the top of the key, doing his thing, and no offensive movement. It's just staggering. He kind of takes a little running floater in the paint. Personally, I'm not a fan of how he's been playing, so I'd like to see him find a way to assimilate himself into the offense and actually produce at a high level like he's capable of. But I just haven't been a fan of his production off the bench as much in recent games. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree. I think tonight, I look at this game as a whole, and it's like it's not one to hang our head on because the Celtics have played above our standards anyways, like even coming into this season. So I'm not like banging my head against the wall, but it's one that you wish to get. But do you guys have any final thoughts before we close out? Any conclusion thoughts? Yeah, well, I think that's it. And we will see you guys Tuesday as we take on the Utah Jazz. And that one's going to be a late night game. So make sure you guys are up late because we will be bringing you the recap. And with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications to be notified every time we upload. Again, the Celtics lose with a final score of 114-108. But we will see you guys with the next one. Peace, you guys, and make sure to stay tuned for the New Year's special coming on Wednesday. So we will see you guys later. Peace, guys.
See you.
Take care.